What up, what up, what up? Back at it again. Another week. I'm here. I'm your host, Gabe. That's Julian. He's my co-host over here, sitting to the side. He got to fix his camera. Oh my god.
Yeah, I had to fix it there for a second. I felt like it was too one direction. There we go. What's going on, people?
Our boy JoJo couldn't be here. Obviously, he's working overtime, man. He's making extra money, man. He's got to cash up for all the bad bets that he's made because he's out here talking about Heat 7
for his kids.
He's talking about Heat 7, man. I'm like, yo, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But anyways, let's not get into it. So we're in the middle of a lot of playoffs right here. NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs. I'm very excited because as a South Florida fan, Julian, I don't know about you, I'm very excited that I actually have a team. Like I actually have a dog in the fight. Like I actually have teams that are making it interesting in the playoffs. How do you feel overall about like this kind of weekend? Like where we're at, like mid-May.
No, yeah, it's really good if you're a Miami fan. I mean, obviously you have. Right now, the two big sports going on right now is the Florida Panthers and the Heat, both like making runs in the playoffs, which is good. I mean, look, I haven't had a team really do anything in ever, so it's kind of nice to see some of my teams starting to like actually make a push. Like, I mean, as long as I've been following the Panthers, they've never looked this good in the playoffs, so that's a good sign. The Heat, this is probably the best they've looked in a while, and at least in the past few years. So it's nice to kind of see. Even the Marlins, man, they off to a not a bad start. I mean, they're pushing for wild cards, so as long they're in the run. So as long as they keep this I don't want to say consistency because they're not like playing amazing, but they're in the hunt. As long as they can remain at that pace, maybe by the time we get to September, things start getting a little interesting.
And let me go off top too, because we can talk about soccer as well. We can talk about our other podcast that you host exclusively, Julian, Real Fans FC. I mean, there's a lot of big news going on. Last week I saw you made a drop of the videos last week, so y'all should check that out. Julian, tell them kind of like what's going on with Inter Miami, kind of just like stuff.
No, yeah, I mean, right now they're on a little bit of a winning streak after a real downer. So hopefully, I mean, if you guys watch the show over there, like Inter Miami kind of sold their soul for this whole Messi thing. So we'll see as time goes on. Right now, everybody's kind of like in a more wait and see. But speaking of the new podcast, there's been a ton of support. Greatly appreciate it, guys. The videos have been killing it. Videos also been killing it here. We're just shy of 100 subscribers. We're like super, super close. So I think the two shows has been really good for us. Kind of help gaining content and growing it more. So reaching new audiences, and it's actually been helping a lot. So we're growing faster than ever.
Yes.
So which is really good. But let's get into the NFL, man. We're going to start it off here. As you guys see in the title of this podcast, the schedule just dropped, man.
Yes.
So the schedules did drop as always. This is like the marketing team's Super Bowl. This is where they come in and try to do something cool, go viral, do something awesome. I didn't get a chance to see all of them, but I do have some that I actually like. But Gabe, we'll start off with you. What are the ones that you saw and you actually enjoyed and that were pretty cool?
Well, I had a few. First of all, my first comment is going to be like, I don't remember, me growing up as a kid, I knew the schedule release was definitely a thing. They definitely in the middle of summer, and it was just very like there wasn't a whole to do. So I like the fact that they're making it a spectacle, right? They're just they're trying to get, hype for the teams, especially, coming off the draft and stuff. So I think it's very, exciting. It's a fun, there's not any games being played, but somehow the NFL seems still to make news.
It's another way to get talked about, man.
Yeah, another way to get talked about. All right, listen, I don't want to talk about. All right, so I've seen a lot of them. I think the clear winner this year, that has to be. I'm gonna have to talk off the top. I'm sorry, I have to go for number one. Usually, want to build it up to the go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I have to go.
I think you've seen more than I have. So I'm a little bit.
The one I like the most because there's a lot of pomp and circumstance. There's a lot of acting. A lot of teams they want to get former players or current players and do a lot of stuff. But the one I got to talk about, the most viral one that passed this year was the Tennessee Titans. So we have to talk about the Titans. We got to talk about Titans about a rip. Like this was like one of the best things that they done, especially since the very tumultuous season. They had to trade away CMC, a lot of players leaving, very down, and definitely a rebuild season. And
Titans had
I'm mixing.
CMC.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
The
mixing
blue?
up. Tennessee Titans is the blue. Tennessee Titans and the Carolina. I'm mixing shit up. But yeah, I think the Tennessee Titans had definitely, hands down, the fucking best one. It was like a man on the street style. They just went out in the street, and we know Tennessee,
Broadway.
It's very known for like people go there for weddings or bachelor parties, bachelorette parties. Very
Arty in general.
Yeah, very arty. Kind of. I don't know if you want to talk about Austin in the South, or whatever you want to consider Tennessee the South. Yeah, so it's very man on the street. It reminds me of like Jimmy Kimmel does this. He does a lot of bits where he just asks people random questions. Like he'll show a picture of somebody and say, "Hey, do you know who this person is?" Off rip, Tennessee, probably the best one. Julian, I don't know how you felt about that video.
Yeah, the Tennessee one was pretty damn hilarious. The fact that they were the part that about like died the most was the Colts. They calling the Colts the Cowboys.
Yeah,
like that part killed me. And like it's even watching it for the first time, it's like trying to figure out what they said. And then that hit my own team. The Jags said Chester Cheeto, and and then somebody said that the team doesn't even exist, and it was the Jags again. And I was like, of course they target the Jags as like the ones they flame the hardest. But no, it was really good, and it was honestly perfect for social media. Obviously, vertical video, like it was short enough, like it was super shareable.
Yeah.
A lot of the other ones, it can get a little longer. I like that one. I'm not gonna lie, that one's my favorite. Even as a Jaguar fan, like that Tennessee killed it. At least as from the ones I saw. I did see the Chargers went with the anime route again, which is pretty cool.
Anime again.
I thought the Broncos one was good because I'm just an Office fan at heart. I love The Office, and like to kind of see the homage that they did to like The Office was pretty cool with Peyton Manning as like the boss, and they brought like Angela back and everything. That was awesome. But like, man, I don't want to sound like a biased. I don't want to sound biased or like a homer or nothing. But I thought the Jaguars one was awesome. Like I thought that one was awesome because of the way they included the players in it, and I thought the players killed it. I thought they really did a good job. Did you watch the Jaguars one?
I did see the Jaguars one. I think it was fine. It was like whatever. Here's the thing. I
will say I do think it went a little too long. Yeah. I did thought the Jaguars one went a little too long. And when they brought out Andrew Wingard, which is like one of our special teams players, backup safety, to like act as Trevor Lawrence, that shit, like that one was for the fans because like unless you're a Jaguar fan, no one really knows who Andrew Wingard is. Like everybody roasts this man forever. Like he was always getting burnt. He's terrible, but yeah, he plays so well on special teams. So when they had him play the stunt double for Trevor Lawrence, absolutely like had me busting out laughing. And just like, and then they had Shad Khan in there. They brought in the Hall of Famer Tony Baselli. I thought they did a really good job. My only complaint to it was that it went a little longer than it probably should have. But like, I thought the players even did a great job. Like even talking to Zay Jones and like all of that shit was great to me.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So like I said, Titans number one. You know why? Because it was raw. It was real. Unscripted. You don't know what the people are going to say. And obviously, they're going to pick, the funny ones. But these are, like, real answers. Like, people are just out there. They're like, I don't know.
You know how long that probably took? Like,
it probably didn't take that long. I mean, how many people do you think will watch?
You think?
With Tennessee being, I mean, obviously they.
But I feel like logos are so simple. Like I just feel like people just kind of know logos.
Listen, man. You think? See, because we're in the bubble.
Bro,
we're in the sports bubble.
When she said Eagles to the Seahawks, like the Pittsburgh Seahawks, the Pittsburgh Eagles, the Seahawks.
See, but that's great though. It's like fuck. It's like sometimes it's good to just watch.
I don't know. I mean, like I guess in my head, like I've been around people who don't know sports, but still like. Can get the
come on listen
for the most they can get the logos for the most part the most
you and your girl, like is she really into football? I know you're into it, but like when you're watching it on Sundays, like is she like in there with you?
She doesn't watch it, but she knows the logos. Like she knows it. Like if she sees the Colts, she knows it's the Colts. Like it wasn't that bad. I can see her maybe getting confused on like maybe the Seahawks ones, like but
I just
don't
love
know,
the
like-
idea of people that don't give a damn about sports trying to talk about sports and like just getting it
But
all
then they
wrong.
get the Titans at the end, obviously, because they're from Nashville. So it's like they
Yeah.
get the Titans one at the end. But
I think there's a guy on
yeah.
TikTok. There's a guy on TikTok who goes, he interviews like man on the street. He interviews people. He asks them questions and he asks for their answer. And
oh, I've seen him on YouTube.
and he'd be like,
Shorts. He has,
whatever
like,
they
the
say,
long hair.
whatever they say, he'll be like, yes. So like one time he asked, who was the first president? Oh my God, he asked. This was terrible. It was one time he asked, who was the first president of the United States? And one guy was like, George Floyd. And he was like, yes. I was like, yo, oh my God,
George.
it's so bad, so bad. But obviously they pulled away. Broncos. I think Broncos was nice. It was funny, but I feel like if they had more of the people in there from The Office,
Well, what's your sleeper? I guess. What's some other top ones that you
Another thing I
like?
liked, even though it was more scripted, it was funny though. I liked the Chicago Bears one. The Chicago Bears one, they had one where they're pretty much cooking. They're like cooking food. I think Spice Adams was in there. Spice Adams is a guy I follow on Twitter. He's hilarious as hell. I like the Chicago Bears one. You want to talk about homerism? You talk about your Jags. Let me talk about my Dolphins. It was absolutely terrible. They did something with
That
the
one
movie
was
theater.
terrible. That
God
one was so
awful.
bad.
It was so bad.
I watched.
It had
that
nothing to
one,
do with
and I'm like-
Miami. Had nothing. I don't know what
Like
the hell.
it had nothing to do with football, or it didn't even have a theme. Like movie, I guess the
It was a
theme was
movie
movie
theme, but
theater.
why this
But
year?
like the
Why?
movie theater, that's not like a theme. Like at least like to the Chargers one, even though anime has nothing to do with football, like I can see how you can utilize the characters and like use the action of football and kind of implement it with the two. But like the whole movie theater thing was so like
It's lame. It's so bad.
it was so
bad.
It was so bad.
Like, listen.
I will say though, and not to go back to the Jaguars one, but like I don't like, and the Jaguars did it. I don't like it when they don't actually like name drop the actual games in order.
Oh yeah, when they
You know what
mix
I
it up.
mean? Like, well, no, they don't say anything, and then they just put it at
Picture.
the schedule right at the end.
Yeah.
They just put the picture at the end, but they don't say anything leading up to it. And I don't know if it was like last year, with the Carolina Panthers, they got like the Darnold coin, the Darn coins or whatever. Like throughout their like workshop meeting, they were actually like kind of naming out the weeks. And I was like, the Jags, they could have done like something like that. Like, look, if you're gonna play this role as like the NFL being scripted and there's a writer's room, why not like go week by week of like
Yeah.
ideas of how to script the games? Like, I don't know, like to me that was like right there for the taking, and they didn't do it. They kind of went back to last year of like script, but I guess you can't really. I don't know. I guess because you don't know what the games are going to be, so you can't really script them out.
Yeah. For me, like the problem with the Miami Dolphins one with the movie theater whole thing, I was like, yo,
I
rather see.
didn't even finish it. I didn't
No,
even finish
you
it.
can't. Like it's so bad. It's so bad. Like, it was, like show Miami, like show like me being away from home now. I live in Texas now. I live in Austin. Show pieces of Miami, like show something vibrant, show something fun,
Colorful.
yeah, colorful, something maybe a little spice, a little Latin, little South Florida flavor. Now there's just like a movie theater. It's like it's so generic. Like what
That could
what
be
do movies
anywhere,
have to-
you
yeah.
know.
It-
But the Dolphins, there's ones always suck. Like I never seen one where I'm like, this is good. Like they're always mediocre. They're never even like all right. They're all like mediocre. And I feel like you do like such like cool shit with the city, and like you do like nothing. Like I don't know.
Yeah. It's so disappointing. So disappointing. So those were a couple. Let me see if I go down the list.
I need
Obviously,
to pick the Bears one then if you like that one.
yeah, I did like the Bear one because I felt like I said that felt more homey. Like they're cooking food over there, talking about orders. It felt like we're Chicago people. Like that's a Chicago reference that Chicago people would get, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I understand that reference.
It's like something only the people, the fans in the city would understand.
Yeah.
And
But-
I do like that. Like,
But yeah, the Jags, I was like, whatever. Dolphins,
really, you didn't like
terrible.
that? I actually really
man.
liked that. It had it, and even the Jag one's got a lot of good reviews for it. A lot of people liked that one because it was like that whole thing of trending like during the playoffs of the NFL being scripted. And I
Yeah.
thought all the players and everybody killed it. I mean,
So-
our fucking beat writer was like, "Yeah, I write all my articles in August, and then I just like do nothing till December." He's like, like that.
But let's talk about the actual game. So now that we know all the schedules out or whatever, let's talk about the actual primetime games, Julian. If you want to pull it up.
Okay.
And this is kind of
All right,
about
so this is-
the official
this is
games
from-
that we're interested in.
All right, so this is the according to the NFL, obviously there's primetime games every week, so I don't want to go through all of them. I went through an article to determine what they think is the top 9. This is from NFL.com. So give me 2 seconds to pull this up. Even though 9 is kind of a weird number.
Yeah.
Just make sure no videos are playing. Sometimes, those sites like to do that shit.
We're not trying to get DCMA. We're not trying to get shut down. Have we cursed yet? I don't think we've cursed yet. Let's not curse.
I don't know.
I heard
Yeah,
YouTube, you're not supposed to curse
curse.
in the first 10 minutes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's already, it's 15 minutes. We're good now.
But here's the thing
and
about
here we
schedule.
go.
Okay, here we go. You got it? All right.
All right, let's just go. All right. So
trying to
what
stall
they
for
ranked
time.
9 was since. All right. I will say I already briefly went through this. This list is fucking egregious. And you'll see. Trust me, you'll see, Gabe. So rank 9, they put Cincinnati Bengals at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Listen.
That's a really good matchup. 2 top teams in the AFC. But then right after that, they put the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, I was immediate as soon as I saw Detroit Lions.
Is fraudulent list. Fraudulent.
And no, it gets worse. It gets worse. Then the Baltimore Ravens and the 49ers.
AFC versus
that's
NFC,
a good
maybe
game.
Possibly. Obviously big story.
But is it better than Burrow Lawrence? To me, it's not.
And with this, it's a Week 16 game.
And I'm not even trying to.
Week 16, come on.
I guess it can mean something, yeah. Oh, it's Christmas Day. Oh, Christmas on Monday. Look at that. I did not know that. Dallas Cowboys at Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, that's always
I can get it, yeah, because it's a huge rivalry matchup.
It's a division rivalry.
Yeah, and it's probably going to have a lot of playoff implications into it.
Yes.
I mean, you're talking about December game.
Jalen Hurts re-signing, big contract.
5 Buffalo Bills at Cincinnati Bengals.
Week 9.
I get this one. This is a good game. Yeah, November 5th. Week 9, solid game, solid midweek game. And then the Dallas Cowboys and the 40. What the thing is with a lot of the Cowboys and the Niners stuff is are we sure that these 2 teams are going to be good?
Yeah.
Do we know Brock Purdy is going to take that next step? You know what I mean? And then every time Dak has a good season, it's followed by a bad season. So it's
well, if you look
and obviously the Cowboys, America's team, blah blah blah, whatever. They're always going to have half their fucking games are prime time. They're always on at night. Everybody loves the Cowboys. Apparently,
supposedly not me.
No, you either a Cowboys fan, and if you're not a Cowboys fan, you hate the Cowboys. Yeah. It's not just their rivals. Everybody hates, but it's look, who the fucking Cowboys show that's on this list? But
2 storied. I would say 2. If you look at the Super Bowl history, 2 storied franchises. There've been a lot of Super Bowls. If you look at the history of the NFL, whatever, yada yada. I'm maybe more interested in the 49ers more than the Cowboys, but we'll see. It's week 5, so it's kind of early on.
Yeah, I guess to me it's we don't know. The Niners have been boring as hell these past few years. I think they're hoping on that Brock Purdy's entertaining, and like I said, Cowboys. It's 1 year they're deep playoff run, and next year they fall apart. But then let's go to the next one. This one, Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah,
I don't know why the fuck
Definitely.
this isn't first. Yeah. I do not understand why it's not first. This is literally a rematch at Kansas City in November 20th.
Late in the season. So week 11, they're going to be seasoned, whether we have injuries,
this is
whatever.
Blasphemy.
Teams are going to get,
bro,
Definitely.
rank 3? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? I don't even know what's after this one. This is actually going to be kind of a shock. Kansas City at the New York Jets.
Again, obviously
higher. Kansas. I get the whole Aaron Rodgers thing.
That's the thing.
Kansas.
That's the thing. It's less about the Jets. It's more about the city of New York and more about Aaron Rodgers.
The New York
Jets.
market.
Yeah.
But it's if we're talking about pure matchups,
no.
How is the Super Bowl rematch not on there?
And week 4 too. I don't know about you.
I think 4.
I think I told you about this too. Teams, the first 4 weeks, I'm not gonna have strong opinions about anything. I need to see 4 or 5 weeks of teams to get an idea of
who's who.
What's their scheme, what's their identity. The season really starts about week 4, week 5. The first couple weeks, I'm whatever. I'm not gonna hyperventilate about a win or a loss on a team. I'm okay, they play well. Let's see what they do well. you know, when I get mid-season to later in the season, that's when I like concentrating more. I can have a better idea of like who's gonna win. But week 4, you know, this is marketing, you know, 101, I guess. You get a big market team, a big market player versus, you know, Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl champion Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes,
MVP.
You know, this is more marketing shit. You know, they're trying to get.
All right, if we had to guess who's number one, just the teams, like who do you think it is?
It's gonna be Kansas City. I'm always gonna pick Kansas City.
You think Kansas? No, I'm talking about like this is ranked. This is second best ranked game.
What's the next game?
The two teams are. Yeah.
The two teams. Oh man, if you pass Philly, Kansas City, I don't know, bro. It's gonna be.
It's got to be a Cowboys nonsense.
Let me talk through this. Let me talk through this in my brain. All right, who's a big market player? Maybe a young player, brand new, maybe got drafted or recently drafted. Is it gonna?
I don't even think it's gonna be that.
It's gonna be. Don't say the Broncos. Is the Broncos in it? Don't say
it's
the
gonna.
Broncos.
I don't know. I don't know. My guess, it's the fucking Cowboys of some sort. Do the Cowboys play the Chiefs?
They've already put the Cowboys twice. They're gonna put the Cowboys a third time.
Yeah, probably. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
Let's find out
They've
together.
Already put the Chiefs.
Let's find out together and try to figure out this logic.
3, 2, 1. Bills at Jets.
Wow.
The battle of the state of New York.
I wouldn't put it at number one.
This is a good matchup, but no, it's not number one.
No,
this is not number one
Kansas
at all.
City. Now we're Philly, Kansas City.
Yeah,
because you know it's a lot of in Philly it's gonna be a lot of we know they're one of the best fan bases. They very positive. They don't cuss at other people. They're very good fans. Philly. So
the city of brotherly love. Some
brotherly love. Some say. So no way this is it's like this is a nice matchup. It's a divisional matchup. Two big teams.
It's a good matchup.
Buffalo Bills. They're trying to go deep in the playoffs. That's their thing. Is like they always get close. Got too close.
Hold up.
What's up?
I get it. I mean, I'm reading the description now. It's on September 11th in New York, week 1.
Nah.
I think that's kind of what on ABC. Well, it's New York on September 11th. 9/11.
Week 1 again. I'm not a.
We heard it here first. Gabe doesn't care about 9/11. He thinks it's a fraud.
Put that slander on me. Put that slander on me.
He thinks it's a fraud. No, listen, but I think that's why. But like even so, like if we're talking about like just pure like team on team, like this is a good matchup. But number 1, like come on, like it's a Super Bowl. Like I think they're putting a lot of weight into week 1, and it's like 9/11 New York. Aaron Rodgers, like all this.
All right, again, going into the way I view games, the first couple weeks, obviously they're trying to make it exciting. These are two big teams. Bills obviously being a playoff team. They always get close, but they never go all the way. It's always like fly too close to the sun, they melt away. And now the Jets being, the Jets actually have a good team and they have a good roster. Hopefully the running backs coming back off that injury with Aaron Rodgers. They should be set up well. So it is a good matchup in general because it's a divisional matchup. You have big names on both teams.
I will say too. I think a part of it as well is like we're gonna see Aaron Rodgers in a new uniform ever for the first time, and it's week 1 and it's against the Bills. I think that's kind of another logic where they're putting into it. It's like, all right, now we're actually going to see him for the first time, and a lot of people probably are like super interested, and like you said, the market and everything. So it's like,
what I would like to see. I would like to see, because me, like I said, I like to watch the first 3-4 weeks, and then I get an idea of like what the team is, the team identity. Like, let's play non-divisional games the first couple weeks. Obviously, there's gonna be important games if you play within the conference. Non-divisional games between like early on, just to get the guys out there and see. And then if you want to spring on a Bills versus Jets, like week 4, week 5, week 4, week 5. To me, that makes more sense. Like, because then I'm like, okay, they played a little bit. I saw how they play, and now they're actually playing a divisional game that makes sense. I don't know. For week 1, like I said, I'll watch that game. I'll take away stuff, but I'm not gonna hyperventilate. I'm not gonna look at like week 16 as like, oh, look at that game week 1 when they play.
I mean,
there's different there's cycles of the season. Obviously when you have injuries, people are not gonna show up. There are gonna be people injured before the season starts. There's gonna be people in the middle of the season, people injured at the end of the season.
I think it's just how it is. Like you always play your divisional opponent week 1. Like that's just like the rule of thumb. So I'm guessing you guys are playing the Patriots. I'm assuming if they're playing each other.
Let me grab the schedule again.
It has to be. I mean, if the Dolphins have to be playing the Patriots because I know you always play your divisional opponent week 1. It is kind of a weird thing that they do, but it's just a thing that they've done as long as I can remember. But yeah, outside of the first game of the year, normally like the first game of the year, I've noticed is that they don't usually put you against your divisional opponent, but they generally they try to for some reason, one way or another. I don't know, to kind of set the bar for the division like off the rip. So
yeah.
I don't
So
know. But,
just as a note, let me just real quick, just to back up what you said. Dolphins play at the Chargers Sunday, September 10th at Chargers, and then they
I
play
guess
at
not.
New England. At New England, week 2. So
maybe this is a Jag thing. Like I feel like we played the Colts or the
All the time.
Titans the first game of the year all the fucking time.
yeah,
All
we
the
do that.
time. Like,
We
I
do
don't-
that in the year with the Patriots. End of the year, the last couple games is always Jets.
always play
Patriots.
the Patriots.
Like week 16,
Well, yeah,
week
I
17.
know that. Well, I know that. Like week 17 always ends in a divisional matchup to kind of get like what happened last year for the Jags and Titans. Like winner takes all, goes to playoffs. They usually
Yeah, we always play the Patriots, end of the year. We always whip their ass at the end of the year.
But I always thought it was the beginning and the end. I always thought like you always play a divisional opponent at the end and a divisional opponent in the beginning. But I guess that's just like from what I've seen. Like
But
it's always the
do you
Jags. We always
prefer
play the
that?
fucking Colts.
Do you prefer that, Julian? Like, do you prefer playing the Colts week 1, or is it like I usually hate the Colts
Week
so much,
one,
I have
I
to play
don't.
them
Week one, I don't care. At the end of the year, I want to face a divisional opponent because I want to have like the ball in my court. Like,
Confirmation of, like,
I want to. I
team is
want to
good.
be able to like what happened last year to like like it's up to us. Like it's like all right, we're playing the Titans. This is a winner take all game versus like we're playing random team not in our division in another conference versus they play another team in the random division in another conference. It's like no, I do feel like the division should be won by like the two teams going up against each other. So like to me that makes sense. The beginning of the year, I don't give a fuck. I'll take the easy dub against the Colts though because they're trash. So
here we go.
I'll
Put it down.
I'll take the
guarantee.
I'll-
Guarantee. All right,
But
Julian's guaranteeing
talking
the
about
Colts.
some of the international games. So we got 5 international games this year. Seems like every year they tend to add more and more. I'll pull it up right now. So this time we have 3 London games, but we also have 2 games in Germany. As we all know, the game in Germany last year was a massive
Very
success.
successful, yeah.
I think it was probably the best
Better than London.
international. Yeah, I think it's way better than London. I think the German fans in general, as somebody who watches like world soccer, like everybody knows like Germany has like the best atmosphere, one of the best atmospheres in the world for sports. It's insane. And it was really cool to kind of see that be brought to American football. I've always felt like Germany matches American football more. I always felt like in general, our cultures mashed more with Germany. So I'm not surprised at all. And everybody leading up to that game was saying that like, oh, that game's going to be wild in Munich. But this time they're actually doing it in another city in Germany, which is Frankfurt. So now this is officially the 3rd city in Europe that they're actually playing a game because normally it's always London. Realistically, London's like the only major city, big market in England. But now they're doing another city in Europe in Frankfurt. So curious to see how those fans are. If they're anything like Frankfurt, the soccer team, that fan base, we're going to see another crazy game. And obviously they're getting a great matchup. I think the Colts Patriots matchup is kind of whack. That's going to suck. But the Dolphins Chiefs game is going to be pretty
Yeah,
good.
that should be fun.
It looks like Dolphins are missing a home game this year because of this. Then the talk of the town, the Jags are getting 2 games in London this year.
Of course,
luckily
'cause-
only one's a home game, one's an away game. So you're still Jags.
They're both
fans are
away
still
games.
gonna
Come
get
on.
through.
All games are away games. When you have to fly across.
No, but what I'm saying is it
international
counts.
water. Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is
It
it
counts
counts as a way, so that therefore you still get more actual home games because I know prior to COVID they talked about these 2 games in Europe, and a lot of Jaguar fans were really pissed about that because it's like, all right, now you're taking another home game away from us and
Oh, yeah, the
still
fans wanna
increasing
go
our season
see-
tickets.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it works out that they're making one of them an away game because now you're not taking a home game away from them. And also, in a way, I think this gives the Jags more of a home game because the fan support in London has been steadily growing throughout the years. Obviously, it's been about 10 years now that they've been going every single year. So this is going to kind of feel like 2 home games for the Jags, one at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and then one at Wembley.
But you know what? I feel like, with I feel like with the teams going overseas, especially with my Dolphins, and now you have two international games. I feel like if there's international, if there's fans internationally, and they're fans of the Jag, a lot of fans of the Dolphins, whatever, and like we get to feel what they feel like when they watch the games. Like I'm sure they're going to pubs and stuff, and they're watching football games, and I like that experience of like, oh, it's my team, but they're not here. They're not here on the home field, but I kind of get that experience of like what they feel like when they watch football internationally. So to me, that's kind of cool. I understand like if you have season ticket fans, I understand how that feels like. Oh, you're taking away a home game and whatever. But I think it's super cool, man. And you look at the list. A lot of teams are East Coast teams. These are all East Coast teams. Maybe the furthest is the Colts and maybe Kansas City, or the furthest west as we go. So and that's kind of what I expected. Like these are all it might be. Atlanta might be. It might have been their second or third. I think Atlanta's gone international before, but not a lot. Not compared to the Jags or the Dolphins.
I think Atlanta's for sure gone international to London. It's probably been a while. I don't know how recently it was. I will say the one cool thing. So like, and I've noticed when people are talking about it who went to the games, or like all the reporters that covered the game and stuff. It's like the whole pregame type of festivities in Europe is done so differently than here, because here. It's all about the tailgates. We have stadiums built in the suburbs with massive parking lots, and to where you have to drive to it. You know what I mean? So it's like we kind of, because of that, we've built this culture of like getting to the game early, tailgating outside the back of your car. In Europe, because cities aren't necessarily built like ours, like they have, better public transportation.
Yeah.
The stadiums are built in the cities and stuff. So the very common thing to do in Europe is like everybody goes to the pubs like right in front of the stadium and gets drunk, hammered right in front of the stadium, and then walks right over to the thing. And like, even like if you watch like the pregame, like people going to the Munich game, it was like, there's like parking there. So the Munich stadium it's a little bit outside of the city and there's nothing else around it. So like, but it has a train stop. So like everybody's getting drunk and like getting on the train, and they're on the train drunk. And then you just see like fans start flooding in from the train station, walking towards the stadium. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. And you can see like how you can bring in some of those elements from like world football to American football, of like the march, like that's a big thing over there, is like the march, because everybody walks to the stadium. So it's pretty cool to kind of see like the two like cultures kind of like combined with one another. I do think it's a little disappointing. No Mexico game this year. Mexico games get a ton of support, and I think they should. I think maybe NFL feels comfortable with that market. My guess, they maybe feel comfortable like, hey, there's already a Mexican football league in general down there. It's kind of a growing thing. I am a little surprised no Spain game, because I know last year they talked a lot about having a Spain game. One, because NFL already has the Spanish broadcasting infrastructure to then put a Spain game over there. You already have the commentators. You have all, every NFL game is broadcasted in Spanish. They have their own pre-games and everything. So like a lot of people thought it'd be a seamless fit to have a game over there in Spain, maybe play in Barcelona, Madrid. So a little surprised not to see that. And also surprised about seeing them not to do Frankfurt and not stay in Munich, or maybe do like Germany. But nonetheless, we're going to see it more. This does bring to the second topic about international games. And, I realized that we never really talked about this last year, was after the success of the Germany game, or maybe it was before, one of the two, Roger Goodell was asked the question of, can you see a future where NFL puts a division into Europe? And like, I kind of want to get your thoughts. Like, what do you think the end game is with these international games? Do you see a division? Do you see two divisions? Do you see NFL expand to 40 teams and maybe split up a little bit more? Like, what do you see the end game of all this?
I mean, the biggest thing. Listen, the biggest thing. I think this is definitely growing the game. When you're talking about having international games, you're trying to grow the fans, right? Trying to have international fans. As far as the logistics of having 17 weeks, and what are you talking about? You're talking about the 49ers flying to London? Like, those are two major cities, but like, what is that on the body? I think it's a pipe dream, right? We had the European League. I remember playing Madden like 05, 04, whatever.
Yeah, I have the European League on my GameCube. I have Madden 03 on my GameCube right next to me.
The European League, the Sea Dragons.
Me and JoJo actually played it, the Euro League game.
So I think that's a pipe dream, maybe one day, but like literally the logistics of like day to day, it's good for the the East Coast teams because it's the easiest of to do that long flight. And when you go international, they like to do stuff for the players. Like they go out there and they visit stuff, and it's a good experience to have, like, to visit, because you're not there a lot. So whatever the 6 or 8 games that they're playing out there, you want to give them an experience like, oh, this was fun. I remember when we went to Frankfurt. Remember when we went to Wembley Stadium. That's fun. But the actual logistics of like every week a team is going to fly to London every week. I think that's going to be That's going to be a tough idea to sell.
Well, that's kind of the idea with the division aspect. Is like, do we obviously if they're? I don't think they're gonna. It's not going to be one permanent team out there. I don't think that's how it's going to work. It's going to be when you get a permanent. It's not going to be a permanent one team. It's going to be a division. And honestly, I can possibly see 2 divisions, and then NFL goes up to 40 teams. I can quite honestly see that, like, very realistically. I do not see, obviously, you're not going to get a West Coast to Germany. Like, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Maybe, look, the schedule makers can work it out to where, maybe a Europe team spends a month in the United States and then a month of games at home. Yeah. And in that month of the United States, they play an East Coast game, a Midwest game, a West game, and maybe they come back to the East Coast game. Also, too, a lot of the talk and obviously a lot of investment of those supersonic jets. The supersonic planes? I don't know if you've heard about that. About United, I think, is talking about having those into service in 2029. And I'm sure NFL is looking at that as a possibility of, like, because I think those planes, those are just those commercial planes. I think they estimate New York to London in 3.5 hours, which is faster than getting from the East Coast to the West Coast. So maybe the NFL is waiting for that technology to catch up before they fully enforce it. I kind of see the aspect of, I don't even think one division is going to work. I think they're going to go 2 divisions, and they're going to bring this thing up to 40. Because I think the NFL knows, one, I think they're tapped out of the American market. I don't think they can go any more. I mean, American football is already the biggest sport in this country.
Austin football.
Yeah, but like, there's still fans there. There's no reach to that. Like, yeah, you put a team there, but there's no like actual like. There's already a fan base there. There's already football fans in Austin. It's not an untapped market of where you're trying to expand something new. So, and look, they see the success of what we see in world football in Europe, the massive stadiums, all the money, all the revenue, FIFA, all this stuff, how big it really is. And the NFL knows that, they're the behind the 8 ball when it comes to like even other American sports. I mean, we saw the World Baseball Classic. We see the Olympics in basketball every year. Like, we're seeing countless European athletes in the NBA. Obviously soccer growing in this country. Like, NFL knows, like, for them to keep up or even stay ahead, they have to start reaching out to other countries, have to start building infrastructure there. And
what I want to interject with, like I said, growing the game is fine. If you're trying to find new fans internationally, like going international, because right now, the schedule as it is, we're going international in the middle of the season. Like, I'm fine with, if they want to go international, if they want to have a complete like preseason internationally, like you said, you mentioned Mexico, like how I think that was a big thing, right? Because the big with California, Mexico, they had, I think the Raiders, was it the Raiders? The Raiders played down there with another team. Maybe it might have been Kansas City or something. That's definitely missed. But realistically, logistically, why aren't they expanding north? Why aren't they going to Canada? Why aren't they going to Mexico to have a team there? That is more realistic, or I don't know. If you want to go even more crazy, go to Panama, have a Panamanian team. I mean, the time zone doesn't mix up. Obviously, there's still travel, but it's going to be less than going overseas, going to Germany. If you're looking realistically instead of Europe.
Like I said, I think Buffalo's always flirted with the idea of going to Toronto. I think the thing is with Canada, it's like I said, it's a market that already likes football. They already watch the NFL. I think NFL really wants to go to a place where it's like unconquered territory. Like, football is already the biggest sport in Canada. Yeah. Football's not the biggest sport in Mexico, but there's still a ton of fans there. Yeah. And I think having a team permanently in Mexico due to economic restraints, like you can only charge so much for tickets. I think they want to generally kind of stay in like more developed countries. And I think that's going to be one, if they were to ever put a team in Europe, I think the ticket price thing is going to be a big deal, because at least from what I've seen from World Soccer, like there's a lot of caps and a lot of countries set caps and city government set caps on how much these teams can price tickets. So generally, like you can find like a huge matchup, like rivalry derby matchup, for way cheaper than what we see at these NFL games. Like that $150 like ticket for nosebleed, that's just not going to fly in Europe. Like that's just it's not. Like people are not going to pay that. People are going to protest. People have protested for like raising in ticket prices, what we pay for food. And I think the NFL can get away with it now because like the games are treated as like big events. You know what I mean? Like one-time big events. But if you have a permanent team there, I think the travel, everybody wants to talk about the travel, but I think there's a lot of other cultural things that the NFL has to conquer. One, understanding the fan culture and handling it. We're seeing it now in F1 that like F1, they always wanted the football fan culture added to like their fans. And now they're getting that true authentic aspect of it where it's very rowdy and very like crazy and they don't like it. I don't know how well the NFL teams are going to handle that. And then also the ticket pricing type of aspect. Like maybe they do get away with it. I think travel's one aspect, but I think just the idea of all the hurdles you have to jump through of like
another thing. Yeah, that's what I want to say. So when I say, growing
dealing with the EU,
when I say growing the fan base, what I'm talking about is the NFL, the corporate NFL, the INC, the whatever corporation of NFL, growing the fan base. So maybe they get more fans, they can sell the NFL to international markets, right? Better, they can get more fans to watch. Now the actual logistics of getting a team internationally, that's going to be, like you said, you're dealing with international laws, right? Because during COVID, maybe Florida was open, but Japan, they shut all that shit down. So if you want to put a team over there, or same thing with Canada, you want to put a team over there, same thing with the EU, you want to put a team over there, you got to deal with the international laws and their regulations. And let's say, you have teams, players, they're not vaccinated, whatever. That when you start getting to the logistics of it, it gets a little choppy. So that's why I say, I'm a fan of playing internationally to spread the game to fans, right? As the corporation spreading it to fans, getting more fans, because then you can sell the TV rights and licensing to other internationals. But primarily, it's an American sport. I think you should keep it within house. That's why I say it's probably more realistic to go to Canada and Mexico. That's easier to expand to than going across to Europe. I understand they play games over there, but it's probably more realistic to keep it on in North America.
I will say this though, I do think to actually grow the game and not make it just a spectacle type of thing, I do think you have to have a team there. I think you have to have a team there. You have to set up academies to like find players, which they're already starting to do in Germany. Germany's actually already had a couple of like German players in the NFL. I think to actually truly grow the game and actually get fan base and not just treat it like a concert. Damn, Gabe, you got like 50 alarms. But not to treat it like a concert. Like you have to physically have a team there that's there in and out that people can actually support, because like I said, fan culture runs very deep there. Like people want to like have somebody that represents their neighborhood or their city and neighborhood. And it's like, I think if they really want to go there, it has to be a permanent team. That's why I really don't think it's going to be one division. I think it's going to be two, and we're probably not going to see it until like 2030 when, who knows, those planes can go over there like super fast and maybe it's no longer just a non-issue.
I think that's more of a thing to deal with, like, that's like 10 years from now. Like, that's maybe a possibility. That's an option maybe later on. You know what I mean?
That's why I think it's going to be a very long time before they actually put another team over there. Yeah. Like, I really think they're like, they're waiting for like this prospect of like logistics being easier to handle. To me, I really think it's like all the other stuff of like having an actual team in Europe is where it's going to get like super, super tough. But I do think at the end of the day, they have to have a team there to actually grow support, an actual fan base. Like we're starting to see it with Jaguar fans in London. It's because of the fact that they're constantly there, always there. If you want to see football, you see the Jaguars. now you're actually starting to foster like a fan base there. Having the Dolphins.
That's good
play there
individually
once
for the
every 5
Jaguars.
years.
Individually, it's
Yeah.
good for the Jaguars. But I think, especially since I go to
Well, it's
London,
good for the NFL, I think. It's good for the Jaguars, yes,
Yeah.
first and foremost. But secondly, it's good for the NFL because now the NFL has a fan base that's
and
there that actually follows.
when they
teams.
play in London, if you see a lot of it's so funny because there's not, there are Jaguar fans in London, but especially a lot of Dolphins fans going back
Yeah.
to the 70s. But if you see the actual fans, they're wearing anything NFL. They're wearing uniforms, even though let's say it's Jaguars, Dolphins. They're wearing New York Giants jerseys. They're wearing Kansas City jerseys. They're wearing Arizona jerseys. They're wearing all kind of jerseys just to represent NFL because they like the spectacle of the NFL. It's like a piece of America. It's like a piece of America coming to London, and they're there to see the spectacle of it all. So
and you see a lot of like military fans go out there just like their one chance to kind of like
those are the obviously there's a little piece of home. I like that aspect of it. Like even though you're far away, you can go to a game and they do yeah.
And we can end it right here. At least my final thought, and if you have another one, you can say it. But like, I do think people overreact about like players not wanting to play in Europe because of just being away from home.
Yeah, that's
to me.
tough.
I think that I think that's horseshit. Like personally,
okay.
look, we've seen it in other sports. Look, if the money's there, people will go over there. I mean, shit. Look at world football. Like people go from all the way to Argentina to like England to play the sport they love. At the end of the day, if you want to play in the NFL, look, people go live in, and even if we want to keep it to just American football, people go play in fucking Green Bay. Like, at the end of the day, I would never live in Green Bay on my own. Like, why? It's cold. There's nothing to do there. It's a small town. It's Wisconsin. Like, it's flat. Like, what the hell am I going to do there?
Yeah.
But people go there because, you want to play for the Green Bay Packers at the end of the day. You want to play in the NFL. Would you rather be in Los Angeles? Would you rather be in New York, Miami, Chicago? Yeah, but it's like, in the day, Green Bay Packers drafted me, I'm going to be there. And I think if you tell a player like, oh, yeah, you got to go live in Paris and go play the game you've worked so hard for in Paris, like, I don't think that's like a hard sell to people as like people think it is. I think people think it's a way bigger deal than it actually is because, like I said, we see it in basketball. Players go to Europe all the time. World football, soccer, like, obviously you get people from all over the freaking globe that go there. Like, I mean, even Americans go over there to play and want to go over there. I don't think that's really a big issue like people are making it out to be. I think that's the least of their worries as players. Because players are going to go regardless.
I would tend to disagree with you because football it goes from August to February. That's like 6-7 months. So half the year, you're training, everything's all football. But these
And
players
the weather's better there.
From a player's perspective, you do have a life, right? You have a job to do for 6-7 months. If you make it all the way to the Super Bowl, but then afterwards, like you have a life to live. So I definitely think it's tough. Traveling is tough. The schedule that they have is tough. So to go international and have a regular team, like obviously you want to have a home base, especially if you're gonna work. If you're gonna work in Miami, if you're a Miami Dolphin, you want to have a house there or something. A base there to.
But that's
to go
what I'm
back
saying.
to.
We
if you have a
see
family,
that,
that's
though,
tough, man.
And
If you have a
people
family,
that
that's
live
tough.
cross country, like how many players are from California and then live in Florida, and they just like it there. I mean, we can see that same, and that happens like in other sports. Like I said, people like they play in Spain or they play in Germany, and they just like it there and they stay there. And then if you're fostering a fan base anyways there, and you're going to have more kids wanting to play this sport and wanting to play there, you're going to get kids probably from there that don't mind being there. And I don't know. I just think look, if you told me I had to go to Green Bay and play in the Packers in that freezing
For your
fucking
job.
cold
For your job.
for my job, or I can go play in Madrid. If I'm going city to city, like I'd rather go play in Madrid. Like you know what I mean?
As you have a soccer bias. Okay, so you have a job.
But
you have a.
would you rather live in playing Green Bay in that freezing ass fucking cold in a small town with nothing to do, or go live in Paris and play?
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Sport?
See, I'm talking about personal life and professional life, right? Your personal life, you live in South Florida, right? You live in Hollywood, and your job is around your job, right? Why don't you get an apartment in London right now? Why, Julian? Why don't you have a job? You can, you work, generally online. I don't know.
Well, I'm not getting paid to move though. If I'm not getting paid millions of dollars, if I'm getting paid $1 million to move to London, then I'm gonna fucking move to London.
So that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
So currently, right now,
And
you
if
know,
I
you,
like it there, I like it there. I think we put too much emphasis on like everybody's just going to hate it there. They're just not going to like. They don't want to live out there. I don't think that's a really a big deal. Like
I'm sure
I just don't think.
there's
I'm
tons
sure
of,
for some players, yeah, that's a big deal because some players are homebodies. They want to be home. They like playing for their home team. But I think for other players, like if you're a player that grew up in like I don't know Oregon, like and you just never really cared for it there anyways. It's like okay, I'm open.
Well,
I don't want to go back to Oregon. Like you know what I
see,
mean? Like it's just like
I think you got a little bit of soccer bias because obviously, if you're talking about football in America is very huge. Talking about soccer internationally, it's even bigger. So there's definitely more money in soccer. So if you're talking about personal life, living in a city versus
Well, no,
professional
if you
life where
have
you have to live to
no.
work.
But if you're playing for an NFL team where you're getting paid millions of dollars to play, that's what I'm not referring to soccer. I'm referring to NFL team being there.
I'm just critiquing you're critiquing the players are like, oh, you should go to Madrid, you should go to London and play. You
I'm
should
not
be
saying
happy
you
about
should,
that.
but I just don't. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying I don't think that's like a hard sell as people are making it out to be.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think people make that out to be a way harder sell than it actually is. And I think it's just a lot of people who just don't like the idea of having international games. I'm like,
Yeah.
look, at the end of the day, like if there's players that I'm sure there's players that really don't mind going out there. If you're in your 20s, bro, and you get to like play in fucking Paris, like and make millions of dollars, like I don't see that as like a huge turnoff for a lot of people.
I think
like if you told me if I got paid a million, like $5 million a year to be the quarterback of the fucking Paris Coyotes, and my
there's no
rookie
coyotes
deal,
in
like
Paris.
I
There's
don't,
no coyotes in France.
I don't know the Paris Saints. Let's say they're no longer the New Orleans Saints, so the Paris Saints. Like, and I'm getting paid $15 million a year to play like the sport that I played since I was a kid and play the position and be for a good team. Who's to say they would be a bad team? Play for a good team. Like, I don't think that's as hard as a sell as people act like it is.
Well, you know,
like meanwhile, there's players going to fucking Green Bay, like I said, like and Buffalo. You want to go to Buffalo, Gabe? It's like,
I mean, I've never been. I'm sure there's beautiful people. I would love to visit. Did you go to Buffalo? Oh no, did you go? You went to go visit the waterfall, didn't you? Go on a trip?
no, I've
or was
never
that JoJo?
seen it. I want to. JoJo's never traveled anywhere.
Oh, that's where he lives anyway. So.
JoJo only, he's from.
He needs to come back on the spot. He needs to apologize for his slander. But let me talk real quick as we close this down. Let me talk about real quick the NHL. We're obviously in the NHL playoffs. As we record this today, my Panthers are playing the Toronto Leafs. We almost could have swept them. We didn't play very well last game, game 4. We could have swept them in game 4, ended up 2-1. But we're playing tonight, game 5 at Toronto.
Bro, I had my broom out. I was ready.
It's okay, man. You know what?
I was ready for the sweep.
Gentleman's sweep.
Home?
A gentleman's sweep, man. A gentleman's sweep is as good. You know what? Any professional team, I give respect. Even the teams I hate. Even you freaking Knicks fans. We'll talk about that next.
Cowboys.
I always give a professional team. I always give you one game. In a series of 7, I will always give you one game. So it's always in 5. Right? Panthers in 5, Heat in 5. Always give you. So. You know,
I think the ticket thing has worked out for them too. I watched those games and I'm seeing mostly Panthers fans. Like maybe people that are there who can see like the top and the middle, like maybe they beg to differ. But at least from what I can see on TV on the bottom, it seems like the Panthers ticket thing is like it's working.
And you know what? That's the tough thing overall this entire season because we just played Boston. There was a lot of Boston, man. Anytime I've gone to Panthers games, there's always a mix. I would say like it's a 60-40, maybe a 70-30 mix. You can definitely see the other fans in the building. On the lower bowl, closer around the actual rink, a lot of Panthers fans. But like in the mid, up in the back, you can see other fans. I've been to games. A lot of Leafs fans. I've seen a lot of Leafs fans. I've seen a lot of Sabres fans when we played Buffalo. I've seen a lot of
Northerners.
Panthers. I've seen not Panthers.
Anybody from the Northeast.
Predators, the Nashville Predators. I've seen them. So. A lot of times people buy these season tickets and they just sell them to whoever. They don't know who they're selling it to. They just sell it to whoever. They sell it back and whoever gets in there. But yeah, man, I'm very proud of the Panther season so far. Obviously, we get in as a wild card. We beat the Bruins in 7. One of the best records in the season. We haven't talked about the Panthers at all.
That was the thing too. Is like you said, you were happy about the season. To me, I was like extremely disappointed in the season. I mean, you went from the President's Trophy. Yes, you had a big trade with like Huberdeau being gone, but you also picked up pieces that really helped. And for the most part, the team is still intact. And it wasn't like the team had major changes. But you went from the President's Trophy to then being like barely squeezing in like the last couple of games.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to me, the season as a regular season was a disappointment, but the postseason like has been a huge surprise to me. It seems like the regular season this year is what we should have saw from the Panthers last year in the playoffs. Obviously, the Panthers had a good first round, but then you get swept in the second round of Tampa. But like now we're seeing the Panthers on the verge of going to the Eastern Conference Finals, and that's what I expected from them last year.
Yeah.
But we all know how hockey playoffs roll. President's Trophy, curse. They've never.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's been. I don't know how long it's been.
It's like the Madden curse.
And then a lot of those lower seeds, man, they just hockey upsets are so big. It's like college basketball almost. And I think the Panthers could be the first if they continue on this track. Like, I mean, maybe they see a repeat of the LA Kings in 2012, 8th seed that wins it all. But I do think the Panthers are better than what their seed is. Kind of like what we see in the NBA. I think for different reasons why it's like that, but I think the Panthers in general are better than what their seed is, and we're starting to see that now. And now that the Panthers are about to, let's just say they're going to beat the Maple Leafs. They should have swept them, but they're going to beat them. I think
didn't play well
Game 5 at Toronto. I mean, you played 2 games away in Canada too. Like that's not an easy place to play at all in Toronto, and they won twice. And I think I wouldn't be shocked if Toronto wins this one again at home, but the moment they're coming back, there's no way they get past Game 6. I would like to see a Game 5, and I'm leaning towards wanting to pick them for Game 5, but wouldn't be terribly surprised that now Toronto, you get a game away, you're kind of a little amped up, you're going back home in front of your crowd, and then you get another one. But I think you still get knocked out Game 6.
I get up for away games. Away games, you only have one game to win, and it's an away. Oh, I get up for those games because I want to hear the crowd. I just want to hear the crowd quiet, just the silence of, just the exhaust of them breathing out and like them like, oh shit. Because a lot of the Leafs fans, they remind me of Knicks fans. They haven't won since like 1962 or something. Since before my dad was like 5 years old when the last time the Leafs won. Listen, we got a nice young team. We won. You talk about the trades. We won the trade. I feel like we won this Matthew Tkachuk trade. He's been very good for us. Best player, I think, better than Barkey.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think you've really lost. I mean, Matthew Tkachuk, he ended up being MVP in the All-Star game, made the All-Star team. Like, he's been a really good play. Yeah, you lost Huberdeau, but for the most part, outside of that, like, you kind of have the same team. Like, you haven't reached much, and then you kind of get a younger guy once you get rid of Huberdeau. I mean,
and listen, we're going to talk about NBA, but I feel like once we got past the Bruins, we gave Bruins hell. Once we got past the Bruins, like the Leafs, to me, this is like nothing. Like this is like a nothing franchise. They don't win a lot. This is their first time getting to the second round. They're super hyped. They might have more fans. They might be louder than us. But guess what? I feel like our team. If we're talking about team play performance, I feel like the Panthers have this easy.
The trash talk I saw from the Maple Leafs when the Panthers won the series, they're like, "Oh, Maple Leafs easy going to the conference finals." Like, bro, get the fuck out of here. Everybody knows.
Get to the second round. Get to the second round.
Everybody knows that the Panthers are a better team than you. And I think last year I was like, all right, the Panthers, like, goal is to win it all. You got to win it all. Like, you're in the playoffs last year. You got over this hump of getting past the first round, the first time in a long time. And then I expected them to beat the Lightning. I mean, they've been beating the Lightning all year that season, and they didn't make it. Now you beat the Leafs, and then you look at the rest of the bracket. Like,
I mean, so right now Carolina is.
I expect. Like, to me, what I'm expecting out of this team is you got to win it all. Like, I would be disappointed if they get knocked out.
Yeah,
personally.
So Carolina,
like, I'm not happy with you get to the conference finals. It's another step,
Well, it's another step because we don't have that. Yeah. We don't have that story.
Yeah, because you went to the first round, and then last year you made it to the second round, and now this year you make it to the conference finals. But like, it's improvement to me. I still think you have to at least make it to the Stanley Cup. I'm not going to say win it all, but you got to at least make it to the Stanley Cup. I think the path is there because you beat
the Bruins with one of the best records in this of all time in the NHL.
And now you're gonna go up against Carolina. I like that match.
Carolina's a tough team.
I think
Carolina's a tough team.
Carolina is a tough team. I mean, they were first in their division, but like, you beat the Bruins, man. Like, you can win this. Like, Like to me, I want to see them. I expect them after beating the Bruins. I expect this team to go to the Stanley Cup.
Listen,
Not to look, winning it is that's another thing, but I expect them to at least make it to the Stanley Cup. Now that I mean, you beat the best team in the league this year. Like, look,
no
Panthers,
excuses.
that's Panthers. The Hurricanes are no like walk on, but like, I want to see you guys in the cup. Like at the end of the day.
We'll see tonight. We'll have the results. By the next week, we'll have results. We'll see. I have faith in the Panthers going forward. All right, let's talk about the other playoff series going on. Obviously, NBA series is well ratcheted up. I just want to talk about my Miami Heat. I'm actually wearing my my Heat shirt. I got my Heat hat on. We can talk about the series, the Knicks series. I honestly a little bit upset this last game 5. I really thought, like I said, I get up for away games when we're at New York playing the Knicks, and I would have wanted a gentleman's sweep. A gentleman's sweep. Like I said, I gave every professional team, I give you one game. Okay, Heat in 5. I've been saying this since the beginning, since we were playing the Bucks, playing the Knicks. It's always Heat in 5. But obviously we go to game 6 at home. Julian, I don't know how you feel about the Miami Heat season this year overall, but like, do you really think that the Knicks can pull it out? Like, they can just win the next 2 games or 3 games to game 7?
No, I mean, they got lucky that the Heat didn't. I mean, they gave up such a huge lead, and I think it came down to like 3 points. I think the Heat kind of fumbled the bag a little bit at the end of those last like 2 minutes of the game. I mean, you closed that gap to think about 3. At least I want to say 3 points. I want to say that's
within 3 points.
I think that was the closest it got. Like, you made this massive jump because I think at the most Knicks had a 19-point lead,
and you close it up.
I just feel like you kind of let the game go, like, because then they end up losing, I believe, by 7 or 8 points. I just felt like you kind of took your foot off the gas a little bit, and I don't know. I just didn't like the way the end of that game was managed. But it's whatever. You go on to the next game. You're coming back home to. Oh wait, yeah, you're coming back home to Miami.
It's in Miami today.
You kill them right here. You just put them out of their misery.
Yeah.
They shouldn't even deserve to be in this game. They should have lost that game last week. I mean, to give up that big of a lead and then have it come down to the end like that, especially since like I don't know where they ended off the game in, but like the role players for the Heat were played way better than the role players for the Knicks. I think the Knicks bench only got like 8 points. When I saw it on the TV at the time, it was like 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Knicks only had 6 points off the bench. 6 points off the bench. And you expect to beat the Heat in the series with only 8 points off the bench? Like, no, you're going to get smoked. Meanwhile, the Heat had, at least at the time, I don't know what it ended off, at the time, 42 points off the bench. Look, I think championships are won by your bench and your role players. If you don't got the depth to go all the way, like, you're just not going to win it all. Like, to me, like, you got to have those guys coming off the bench putting up points. Look, you can have playoff Jimmy. Jimmy's going to go off. He's going to get his 30 to 40. But you need those guys off the bench to help supplement them, especially in today's NBA where points are coming up like crazy. I mean, you cannot play Jalen Brunson the entire game without any rest.
I think that's when he's your best player. I think you have to, because Julius Randle ain't the answer.
I understand why they did it. Yeah. I'm saying you shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
You can't play your player the entire game every single minute. You need to have those guys off the bench to do it. And we talked about with the Knicks. The Knicks, I mean, obviously the New York fandom is so strong. Like, everybody thinks they're the Cowboys of the fucking basketball. Like, they're just like,
yo, they won game 2 and they're talking about a Lakers-Knicks finals already. I'm like, yo, y'all, listen, y'all haven't. I'm a Miami Heat fan. I've been to the finals. I've been to Eastern Conference Finals. I've been to the finals. I know what it's like to be a fan. Y'all are just hyperventilating. You win 1 game. Now they win 2 games, obviously on the road. But listen, Jimmy didn't play particularly well this game 5. I know he's a closer. Whenever I see it, I'm not even worried. At halftime, there's like a 20-point gap where the Heat are up or the Heat are down. I'm not even worried.
And that shows why important the bench is.
Don't worry about nothing. Exactly. And, I would say Jimmy didn't play particularly well this game. He kind of disappeared. I don't know if he's still dealing with the injury, obviously, coming off on his ankle. But I'm not going to make excuses for it. It was a piss-poor performance by the Heat this game. That game two that the Heat lost was easily winnable. That was a defeatable game. They could have took 2 games away in New York, game 2. But I'm not. Listen, I'm very relaxed. I said Heat in 5. Guess what? We got to go to game 6 at home in Miami. I'm very relaxed. I have
That's
nothing
what I said,
to
bro.
worry
They
about.
were sweating in game 5. I mean, sweating.
No.
And yeah, right here, 8 points off the bench. That's insane. 8 points off the bench. Your whole offense is ran through 3 players: R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Brunson. Like, I'm sorry, but like you just can't win like that. Like, you just can't. Like, what happens when Brunson's off? Like, what happens when he just can't?
There's
put up
nobody
points?
else.
Like,
You
you're
don't have to
fucked.
rely on Obi
You're fucked.
Toppin. I mean, who you can rely on?
Butler didn't.
Derrick Rose
have a
hasn't hit the
good game.
He hasn't hit the floor yet.
Look, Butler hasn't had a good game for his own standards. He had up 19 points. But for his own standards, we expect him to put up more, especially in today's NBA. But the team around him was still good enough. Like, Duncan Robinson had a pretty good game. 17 points in 22 minutes. He couldn't get some of those last minute threes, and he kind of, where they're very crucial, he made one that was like pretty big towards the end. But he took a lot of threes at the end that I felt like, just when I talk about like the way they ended that game, I didn't like the way I felt like the Heat shot a lot of threes at the end of that game that I felt like you could have just took it to the paint and closed the gap a little bit more. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I mean, like, Knicks fans, you cannot get hype when you literally score 8 points off the bench. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you can't.
And I think we
You
should
want to
wrap.
go against the Celtics?
The
You want to go
Celtics?
against the Celtics? 8
Crazy.
points off the bench.
Crazy.
You're going to get smoked by the Celtics. Or
Crazy.
because I think the Celtics are coming out of it. They got
We'll
one
see.
more game.
I want to wait for.
Nuggets advance.
Yeah, I know.
I'm happy for the Nuggets.
Well, kind of an upset for the Suns. I just want to save this topic for later when JoJo's here because I want him to come apologize to me and my hate. But let's end it here. Let's wrap it up here. We'll come next week. Hopefully, we'll have JoJo on. We'll talk about the rest of the series.
Well, by the time, we'll end it. So predictions: Sixers, Celtics, Lakers, Warriors, Heat, Knicks. Because by the time next week, all these games are done by Monday. Well, Monday the latest if the Heat go to Game 7, but Sunday. I think Warriors come out of it. I think they win today,
Warriors beat Golden
and I think
State?
they win.
Or Warriors
I
beat
think-
the Lakers.
Yeah, I think Warriors win today, and I think they win Saturday. I think Lakers get knocked out. I think Celtics win it all. Even though you're at Philly, I think Celtics advance, and then obviously I think the Heat advance tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with the Miami Heat advancing. I'm gonna agree with Boston advancing, but I think the Lakers, one of the hottest teams in the playoffs. Obviously,
Really?
it's tough with AD. AD was, you saw how well AD plays, but obviously him going down with injury with the apparent concussion. I don't know what the update is. I haven't looked at it, but I think the Lakers are a hot team, and I'm gonna go with the hot hand.
Warriors are 8-2 in must-win games, elimination games.
We
You're playing one
shall
at home.
see.
We're playing one at home tonight.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to Game 7?
I don't think it's going to Game 7.
Wow, you think the Lakers going to close it tonight? All right.
I don't think it's going to Game 7.
I'm a little surprised by that. I think it's for sure
JoJo-
going to Game 7.
Listen, JoJo's gonna like what he hears, but we'll have him on. We'll have him on to discuss everything going on. NBA
Eastern
playoffs,
Conference Final.
NHL playoffs. We'll have that everything next week. Hopefully, we'll have JoJo back in the house. Julian, tell them where they can find the podcast.
You can find the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the social medias, and like I said, anywhere you get your podcast. So, yeah. Any final thoughts, Gabe?
Listen, man, very exciting. I want to shout out to Real Fans FC. Thank y'all for checking us out. Not only this show that we do NFL, NBA, MLB, but also Real Fans FC. Y'all check that show out because I went on there, hopped on there real quick. So if you're not talking a second, he's the expert. Julian's the expert on all that stuff. I can't talk about anything soccer. I know a little bit about Inter Miami, and that's all I know. But yeah, man, we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for checking us out. Thank you for the downloads and subscriptions.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let us hit 100, boys. We're one away. We need one more subscriber.
Give us that one hundo.
Yes.
One hundo, baby.
Okay.
All right, man. We'll see y'all next week, man. Peace.
See ya.